What consumes you today? What are you allowing to consume your mind? Good morning, everyone. I'm sitting here after just listening to a Sunday sermon, and I really feel God putting something on my heart to share with you. So today is episode number 237 of Mountain Woman Radio, and I am your host, Tammy Trayer. Grab your favorite beverage. We're going to go for a little journey here. I want to talk to you about what you are allowing to consume your mind. Many of you have been following me for a long time. And you know that I fondly refer to God as Papa. He guides me a lot. He nudges me to do things that are uncomfortable. He nudged me to do that 7 years ago, almost 7 years ago. And at the time I was afraid. I no longer have fear. I no longer experience fear, worry, anxiety because of that journey. But when he diagnosed me with breast implant illness, I didn't share much of my story until after my surgery. I see now, through the growth of these last 7 years, that had I shared early on, he would have been so incredibly glorified. Not that he isn't, because I am still making it a point to share my story, but through the process, you would have seen his hand. So today, he is bringing something to the forefront, because so often we allow the craziest things to consume our minds. And I truly believe that that is the enemy, knowing very well that he can get a foothold with whatever it is that's replaying in your head. He sits on our shoulders, whispering in our ear. And the thing is, guys, we have control of that. And I'm going to be very transparent today, because what I'm going to share with you applies to every aspect of our life. Not just our home life, our business life. It's our preparedness life, our homesteading, every single thing we do. So, because of having breast implant illness, I am more susceptible to a form of cancer that oftentimes shows up in scar tissue. So I went to the doctor this week because I had a lump in one lump in each breast, and I was requesting an ultrasound or an MRI just to confirm things, because I just, it's just the right thing to do. It's a safety precaution, right? And I can't do mammograms. So with that being said, one was not a concern, the other was. And I will be scheduling a ultrasound and biopsy for the same day upcoming. So this is all new, and I'm sharing from the cuff, from the get-go, because God is going to be glorified. I have been asking people to pray for me, but what I'm asking for is them to pray with me that these just dissolve and disappear, and I'm healed, and that God is totally glorified. Though I would also like to mention that whatever God's will is, he will be glorified, and I will be okay with it. And I want to share this with you, and this is why we are talking about this today. I'm not consumed by it. I'm not worried about it. I'm not fearful. I don't have anxiety. I'm sitting out here enjoying my life, enjoying my space, enjoying my family, and fully 100% trusting and knowing in every cell of my body that God is carrying me, that God has me, that God has a plan. And that plan, whatever it looks like, is going to be amazing. So often we allow ourselves to be consumed by nonsense. And I really do mean that. You know, there's so much drama in the world. I've walked away from Facebook for that reason. Through the pandemic, I was just like, I've had enough. I don't like drama in my life. I avoid drama at all costs. That's the other thing. We have control of what we allow to happen and to be in our lives. We don't need to entertain toxic people. We don't need to entertain bad habits. We don't need to entertain poor thoughts and letting the enemy attack us. We have so much control. And sometimes you might have, so say you have a project on your homestead and you're nervous about it, and you just allow it to consume you to such a degree that you're so worried about doing it that you don't even do it. Or you're so worried about doing it and so nervous about it that when you do it, everything goes wrong. It's the wrong way of thinking, okay? You need to, when we moved our house, I was already praying and thanking God for it sitting in its beautiful location, for my beautiful porch that I was enjoying, as if I was already on it. And you know what? We've done a zillion million different projects here on the homestead. And to date, that was the only flawless project we've ever done. You hear me talk all the time about perspective. You hear me talk a lot about, what you're thinking about, how you speak to yourself. All those things matter. And the more we create good habits in our life, the less consumed we are by senseless stuff. The other thing is paying attention to what's playing in your head. I could allow this to consume me, but I'm truly not even, it's not even a concern. Yeah, I need to get my appointment scheduled, but it's not a concern. It's going to be what it's going to be. So I'm sitting here crocheting a thick hot pad for the Mountain Boy's new cabin in his favorite color, green, and I am enjoying this beautiful day, and I'm getting to visit with you, and we have guests coming this afternoon. It's going to be amazing. And that's how you got to look at life. I know that when hard things come your way, it's easy to be defeated and to feel the weights of those things, and it is okay to feel the weights of those things. I didn't get here overnight. I did not used to be this way. I'd worry about everything. I'd worry about my children's well-being. I'd worry about finances. I'd worry about everything. And I realize now at 52, and this started to transition at 46. So at 46, all those years I wasted thinking about all the wrong things and worrying about things that I couldn't control. So these are my tips to you. If there is something consuming you, and it's something you can't control, which is most things, because think about this, the only thing we can control is ourselves. So if it's outside of that, which most things are, you can't control it. So don't entertain it. 2, if you are being consumed by something and you're having a really hard time tuning out that sound, you have a really easy gift to you. You can pray to Papa. You can talk to Papa. But all you got to do is ask him to consume you. Just consume me. Consume every part of me. Fill me with your goodness, your grace, your mercy, your love, your forgiveness. All that good stuff. Fill me. Fill me to the top so there's no room for anything else. Demand the enemy to leave in the name of Jesus Christ. And be consumed by God's glory. Guys, you have that power. Okay? And the third thing is to repeat. Constantly be paying attention to what's replaying in your head. Constantly catch yourself being in an anxious and a worried space. And flip it. Just completely flip it. I would do dishes on the old homestead, and I had a really rough childhood. And that's when that would surface, in that quiet time. And as soon as I started catching on to what was happening and realizing that that's the only time I thought about it, because I was too busy any other time. So I'd just stop, completely just stop what I was doing. Put on a positive podcast, put on an audio book, listen to praise music, whatever I had to do. And I just kept creating that habit. I mean, you know how often you do dishes, especially when you have a lot of guests and people and you're eating all the time. So it was a constant thing. And every time I do it, that's what would happen. And that's what I did. And you know what? All of a sudden I realized it's not happening anymore. He lost his hold on me. Those things do not define me. Those things I no longer want to own. Those things were holding me back. And he knew that. So I want to share this with you today, because when we allow ourselves to be consumed by nonsense, and truly, if I will say this, if I were being consumed by my worries of my current situation, it is nonsense. It really is. It's out of my control. It's going to be what it's going to be. And if you have a mind like mine, you will know that God will take care of you one way or the other. He will be glorified. Goodness will come from it. It always does. And I don't mean to discredit or lessen anybody else's struggles. I know struggles are hard. I've had a lot of varying hard struggles in my life. But I also know where I've gotten in my walk and how I've gotten here. And I need to share it with you. I need to share it with you. You know, my strong faith didn't happen overnight. I did have a great yearning for it in my 30s, and I kept asking people, how do you hear that still small voice? How do you get so close to God that you can just feel his presence? Nobody knew. Well, I'm a researcher, I'm a digger, I'm a finder, and I just kept digging more and more for him, seeking him, yearning him, wanting that relationship. And look what I stepped into. It's a process. And, you know, when you weaken, we're all sinners. We're all weak. We all struggle. I'm no different. I used to do all of that, but I've gotten myself to a place. It's bliss. It's joy. It's happiness. It's trust. It's faith. So just keep seeking him, but pay attention to what's consuming you, because you all have talents and abilities and God-given superpowers. And oftentimes the enemy will try to keep us from being able to utilize those full powers. And he will do that by keeping us in a place of fear and worry and anxiety that we're not good enough. You know, that big project I want to do on the homestead, you know, I want to do, I'm not good enough, I'll never get it done. And you know what? You won't. Not with that mindset. You got to change your thinking to, you know what? I can do this, and my best is going to be good enough. Okay, so funny. I get on this. This was totally impromptu. This is God speaking through me. This is so awesome. So I share all of that with you today for two reasons. One, I want to see you growing, and I want to see you expanding your horizons and your walk and your faith and trust in him. And I want you to live in this place of bliss where you're not consumed by the enemy. And I want you to follow my journey and see how God's going to be glorified. And I don't know if I said this in the beginning, but I don't want you to feel sorry for me. I don't want pity from you. I would treasure and covet your prayers, but we're going to celebrate. We are going to celebrate. And I have great faith and trust in that, no matter what it looks like, because he's in control and his will be done. But I want to encourage you to join me, and specifically in prayer, because a prayer life is powerful. And a lot of people don't quite understand how to pray. You can't screw it up. Let me give you that secret. You cannot screw it up. My dogs don't even listen to me anymore because I spend most of my time either talking to myself or talking to God. Papa and I have a direct connection. I talk to him all day long. I start my day writing out my prayer in my journal. It just seems to be how it flows. And I love journaling those things. I like being able to look back. So join me in prayer. Join me in seeking him. Join me in learning how to be consumed by him instead of the world. Right now, there's a lot of reason for people to be worried and fearful, especially those that don't know Papa. But we have a great gift in him that he can consume us, and through the chaos, we can still find goodness. So that's my message to you today. Pay attention to what is consuming you, and be sure that you are being consumed by the right things, okay? So have a fabulous day. I look forward to seeing you on the next one, and God bless.